Hi my frogs, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be reading in The Doctor Who Dances with the Dawn by Bun Bun on AO3. And quick update real quick. Again, I'm aware that my audio is a bit shitty. I am really trying to find a new laptops with fans that are not as loud. So at the moment, to try and solve the audio issue, because the fans get louder when the laptop overheats, I am putting the laptop in an incredibly precarious position outside my window so that way it won't overheat. But let's not waste any more time and get into The Doctor Who Dances with the Dawn by Bun Bun Bun. It is rated teen and up audiences, with the only archive warning being graphic descriptions of violence. It was a miracle, Yoriichi mused, that Tanjiro had managed to survive this long without proper treatment. He didn't blame the doctors who misdiagnosed his patient. The disease was a rare one, typically seen often overseas. The only reason why he was able to recognize for what it was is because of his exemplary teacher. Yukimura had described seeing an illness with sailors, a wasting disease that would weaken the immune system, thereby opening the door for even more illnesses and infections. The common mistake made in treating it as a dangerous ailment was focusing on the symptoms that came later, opposed to the root issue. In ordinary circumstances, a poorly handled diagnosis and treatment would result in the patient being dead in a year. But according to Tanjiro, he had been fighting the disease for 6. It was unheard of. A medical miracle. English! The only logical conclusion Yoriichi could come to was that the father of the Kamado family must have near superhuman endurance, or that he'd simply gotten very, very lucky. Here, Yoriichi handed a man a bowl that was mostly full. Don't forget to eat slowly. Tanjiro smiled sheepishly. I'll do my best. As my appetite returns, it's harder to remember. That's good, but your stomach is used to not eating much, so taking it slow is very important. In time, it won't be something that you'll have to worry about. Tanjiro took a careful sip. I'll look forward to it. Do you have any idea when I'll be able to handle more substantial foods, Doctor? I miss my wife's cooking. No offense, of course. A huff of laughter escaped him. None taken. Pausing for a moment, Yoriichi did some mental math. Ordinarily, I'd say that you wouldn't be able to stomach anything other than light meals for 4 weeks, so for you it will likely be 2. The man's face lit up. Truly? Yes, your constitution is remarkable. You'll still need to avoid extremely rich foods for longer than that, but ordinary meals should be fine. Tanjiro leaned back, hopeful eyes flickering towards the window. The slight movement of his head made his Hanafuda earrings catch the light. Yoriichi stared at them as they swayed. Outside, fat snowflakes drifted down gently. And there's any chance I will be well by New Year's? With a hum, Yoriichi contemplated it. That is 4 months away, so it's possible. I see. That would be wonderful. If so, we have a New Year's tradition that is very important to our family, you see. The expression turned pensive. I thought that last year's celebration would be my last. Yoriichi repressed a shudder. More than ever, he had found himself deeply grateful for the strange pull that seemed to guide his steps at times. The thought of this gentle man dying from a curable disease was almost unbearable. Hoping for a distraction from the thought, Yoriichi pushed for a conversation, unusual for him. May I ask what the significance of the celebration is? For a moment, Tanjiro bustled indoors, arms full of freshly picked mountain berries. Hello, Father. Hello, Yoriichi. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'll be out of your hair shortly. Tanjiro waved at him. No need to hurry, son. The doctor was just asking about our New Year's tradition. Would you like to explain it to him? Tanjiro's eyes lit with a radiant excitement. Of course! He set down his basket and seated himself. Every year from sunset to sunrise, Father performs a dance called the Hino Kamikagura. It's supposed to ward off danger and misfortune. It's amazing! Even not feeling well, Father can still dance for the whole night. He knows a breathing technique that makes it so that he doesn't get tired at all. Tanjiro's enthusiasm was contagious, and Yoriichi leaned forward, fascinated. The whole night? In your condition? His voice approached awe as he turned towards Tanjiro's father. Had I not treated you myself, I would suspect you of being inhuman. This got a laugh from the father and son, and still musing over Tanjiro's words, Yoriichi continued. You mentioned a breathing technique that allowed you to surpass exhaustion. Would you be referring to total concentration breathing by any chance? Total concentration breathing? Tanjiro echoed, brimming with curiosity. What's that? Something my mentor taught me before he passed away. I carry no weapons and my travels can be dangerous. It helps sharpen reflexes and strengthen the body, so I use it when I evade trouble. Incredible! Your teacher must have been a great man, Yoriichi. Tanjiro's eyes sparkled. Feeling warm, Yoriichi smiled back at the kind boy. Yes, he was. Tanjiro absent-mindedly tugged at one of his earrings, looking thoughtful. To answer your question, Doctor, I have to admit I'm not certain. Our techniques have certainly sound similar, but truth be told, I was never aware of a name for the breath. It is something that has been passed through our family for countless generations, so inevitably some details must have been lost. I'm surprised to hear that others have used something like that. Yoriichi shrugged. It's not common knowledge. The only reason my mentor knew of it was because he used to be a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. At this, two pairs of ruby eyes stared blankly at him. With a jolt, Yoriichi realized to his chagrin that normal people didn't know about the existence of demons, let alone an organization to hunt them down. Before Yoriichi had a chance to panic about a slip, and by the time Tanjiro blurted, demons? Like in grandmother's stories? But I thought those were just folk tales to teach lessons. Don't go out alone at night, travel on safe roads, don't trust strangers too much, that sort of thing. Right, Father? When Tanjiro didn't respond, Tanjiro's brows furrowed, uncertainty blooming in his tone. Father? The thin man's face was grim. He was quiet for a long moment. Yoriichi cleared his throat uncomfortably. I've disturbed you, haven't I? I apologize. He muttered entreat. Tanjiro shook his head and sighed. No need, Doctor. I was just reassessing some things. Are the stories true, then? Man-eating demons are real? Yoriichi bit his lip. Yes, sir. I've encountered one before, and my teacher dealt with them frequently. So it wasn't a bear after all. Tanjiro's gaze was far away. His son crawled forward to place a supportive hand on his shoulder. Father, are you feeling all right? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. Tanjiro's eyes burned with badly repressed curiosity, but it was clear he was putting that aside for his father's sake. Even so, Tanjiro reached out to clasp the boy's hand in his own. I'm all right. I was just feeling a bit shaken by a memory. Tanjiro took a steadying breath before continuing. When I was your age, my son, there was one spring when I found myself lost in the woods. I had been hunting in pursuit of some game. I wandered too far from home into unfamiliar territory. Feeling unsafe on the ground, I climbed into a tree to take shelter for the evening. I woke up in the middle of the night to a sound that I believed to be a voice, but it was too quiet for me to be certain. And when I looked down from my perch, I saw a strange, large shadow circling in the tree. Petrified, I didn't move, hoping that whatever it was would grow bored and leave. He grimaced. The image from his past clearly disconcerting. Every now and then, I could have sworn I heard it speak, but I convinced myself it was my fearful mind playing tricks on me. But at daybreak, the creature vanished into the brush, and my father found me not long after. I told him that I'd been accosted by a bear, but I was never truly certain of that. Bears are excellent climbers. If one had wanted to attack me, it would have been a simple matter. Most demons can scale a tree just as easily as a bear can, but they come in all different forms. You were fortunate that the one you encountered was either too heavy or didn't have the proper limbs to climb, Yoriichi explained. Tanjiro looked thoroughly unnerved by the whole conversation. How is that powerful demon attacks aren't more common if they're so powerful? Oh, wouldn't we be hearing more about people being eaten? His voice wobbled through the last word. He sounded a bit nauseous. Yoriichi frowned, and he felt a search for tainting the cheery boy's worldview, but at this point it couldn't be helped. You do hear about it. he explained quietly. But often through the filter of people's preconceived notions of reality. Often demon attacks are mistaken for robbery, things going wrong, murders, and animals killing for food. That's why most people don't know about their existence. As for why these attacks aren't more common, you have demon slayers to thank for that. They risk their lives to protect humanity so that the innocent may sleep safe at night. It's a dangerous but admirable job. Wow, Tanjiro breathed starry-eyed. That's so amazing. They must be incredible people. From behind them, there was a playful giggle. I don't know. I think the doctor's being incredible. Tanjiro sputtered badly, startled. Nezuko, how long have you been standing there? She smiled cheerily. A while. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Voice still pitched from being surprised. Tanjiro continued. And of course, being a doctor is admirable. I just think that demon slayers sound very impressive, that's all. In a placating tone, their father cut in. It seems to me like those jobs are two sides of the same coin. Where there are fighters, there must also be healers. Both roles are important. The siblings seemed pacified by that. But not that Yoriichi could imagine them truly getting heated over such a silly debate. They were both so soft, much harder to get into any real disagreements with each other. From the beginning, Tanjiro appeared to be wholeheartedly dedicated to his mission, ensuring Yoriichi's comfort during his stay. Yoriichi was baffled by the boy's unerring intuition in regards to his needs. Tanjiro could seemingly sense when he was hungry, when he was tired, even when he was lonely. Eventually, curiosity got the better of him. I've always been told that I'm hard to read. Yoriichi began while helping the younger boy with splitting wood. Or rather, he hovered, waiting for the stubborn boy to grow tired so he could help. And yet, you always seem to understand me. Recognizing the implied question, Tanjiro grinned, mischievously, and tapped his nose. It's my sense of smell. Well, it's true that you're a little bit harder to interpret than other people, but my nose is unbeatable. You can smell when I'm hungry? Yup. What does hunger even smell like? Food, usually. That made sense. Maybe. You said my scent is hard to interpret? Does that mean I have less of it? Tanjiro hummed contemplatively and stretched his arms, looking me a little stiff in his distraction. Yoriichi quickly slipped the hatchet from him and resumed chopping the wood. Tanjiro pouted, but he learned by this point that the doctor had a stubborn streak of his own and didn't argue. I wouldn't say that. It's not less of a smell, just a very mild scent. It's nice, kind of like refreshing green tea. Yoriichi struggled to hide his amusement at that. Does everything smell like food to you? No! And stop laughing at me internally. I can tell when you're doing it. Despite his words, Tanjiro looked absolutely thrilled that he'd been able to pry Yoriichi out of his shell a little more. Do you like Father's earrings? Nezuko leaned forward into Yoriichi's line of sight. He startled, his face reddening a bit, and at being caught staring. No need to be embarrassed. They're cool. They're a family heirloom. They've been passed down through the Kamado line for decades. Fortunately for his pride, Tanjiro was too far away to hear their words. Nezuko was a sharp girl, despite lacking her brother's enhanced sense of smell. She has a keen mind and observed her surroundings carefully. Little slipped past her. I do. He unconsciously reached up his own empty earlobes. I never thought about wanting such a thing before, but suddenly I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. About getting something similar for myself. Nezuko perked up at that, her eyes shining. Really? You should then. It'll look dashing on you, I'm sure. She clapped her hands together. Oh, I have an idea. I can make you a pair, Yoriichi. I'm good at that kind of thing. His brow furrowed. He didn't mean to take up her time. Nezuko had so little free time to begin with. She should be spending it on herself, not wasting it making him jewelry of all things. He was not given an opportunity to voice these thoughts. Nezuko raised a hand towards his mouth to silence him. Well, gosh, Nezuko, she began, and in a deliberately or imitation of his voice. I just can't take gifts of you, because if I do, I feel guilty. I'm Tanjiro. Oh, but tall and quiet, blah, 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 blah. Ah, she dropped the door. Okay, but seriously, I know how you feel bad. Mind if I give you something for free? So how about a trade? I have never said gosh in my life. Sure you have, just now. True, he admitted. What do you have in mind? He seemed a little bashful suddenly. Okay, so I know that I can't learn everything in a few months, but I was really hoping that you could teach me a thing or two about being a doctor. Just some basic entry-level stuff. I just think it'd be incredible to help protect people, or the way you do. Her voice dropped in volume. Please don't tell him this, because I know he feels so bad and it's not his fault, but I've always been a tiny bit jealous of Tanjiro. Yoriichi felt a sudden twinge of pain in his heart. Nezuko, not noticing, continued. He's so wonderful, you know. Oh, he's smart, talented, everyone loves him. He's so kind, truly selfless. He helps everyone, and he's really good at that. Her hands fidgeted, and she clasped them together to steady herself. I just want to help people too, but I know I can't help them in the way Tanjiro does. He's a lot stronger than me, and he has that sense of smell on his unbeatable forehead too. Yoriichi wasn't sure what on earth that was supposed to mean. A family inside joke? And then you came along, and suddenly everything clicked. I think I could be a great doctor someday, so while I work on your earrings, do you think you could consider getting me started on that path? Yoriichi was quiet for a long time. Nezuko's face had begun to fall, but he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and made a wait gesture to signal that he was just trying to gather his thoughts. His shoulders relaxed again. He finally found his words once more. If you became a doctor, how would you feel if Tanjiro chose the same path? She was confused. I don't think he would. I think Big Brother would prefer a more active occupation. Perhaps, but imagine if he did anyways. How would you feel? I'd support him. The way you phrased it, that I'd been at it longer than him, so I'd be glad to show him the ropes. Yoriichi gave her a serious look. And what if he surpassed you? What if, despite your experience, he was a better doctor? Would you resent him? She thought on it thorough and shook her head firmly. No. Why? Because even if he's better than me, so long as I found something I know I can do well, I'd be content. You don't need to be the best at helping people. I just want to do what I can. Her voice was unwavering, eyes shining with determination. The pain in Yoriichi's chest fades, smoothed away by relief and admiration. My teacher's writing style was unconventional, he smiled. But he was peerless in the field. I have some of his medical journals I can loan you for a while. I'm here, and teach you in our spare time. Does that sound agreeable? Nezuko whooped and threw her arms around him. Yes, thank you. You won't regret this. With delight, Tanjiro watched as weeks passed, and his father's strength grew. The day that Yoriichi declared that Yoriichi declared that he would be allowed to eat normal food again was quite like a celebratory affair. His mother made yamake udon, a long time favorite of Tanjiro's. And they all ate together in a joyous party. Covertly, Tanjiro made sure that the doctor received an extra large portion. English! By the time it was almost New Year's, Tanjiro was up and out of bed, although his stamina was not nearly approaching that of a healthy person. Your muscles have atrophied from the 6 years that you've battled the disease, Yoriichi explained. I've taught him some exercises that will help him regain his strength and coordination, but it will be a very long time before he's back in peak condition. I understand. I'll support everyone in the meantime, Tanjiro had replied with enthusiasm. While their father was now well enough that Yoriichi no longer needed to stay, he was all but bullied into remaining for a bit longer by the combined force of Tanjiro and Nezuko. New Year's is only a few weeks away, Tanjiro pleaded, making sad puppy eyes. Don't you want to see my father dance? I'm not finished with your gift yet, Nezuko piled on, mirroring her brother's expression to an unnervingly accurate degree. And you were going to teach me what kind of plants can be used to treat burns, remember? Yoriichi, helpless to do anything else, had agreed. But only until New Year's, he said, attempting to adopt a firm tone. It was only partly successful. I do have a job to do, you know. They were somewhat sulky about that, but agreed. It wouldn't be fair to the sick people out there for them to hog the kind doctor to themselves. Even so, Tanjiro knew it would be hard for him to say goodbye. Yoriichi felt like a natural addition to their household. For him to be gone, it would feel just as strange as if one of his own siblings was to suddenly pack up and leave. You'll visit us, won't you? Tanjiro asked the doctor during one quiet night. Yoriichi looked surprised but pleased. If you'll help me, I'll be delighted. Of course we want you. Why wouldn't we? The only thing that kept Tanjiro from raising his voice was the knowledge that everyone else was sleeping. You're a wonderful person, Yoriichi. The other boy flipped his head bashfully break eye contact. It's always a surprise when people don't push me away. My biological family didn't want me, and my adoptive parents sold me, so it's the sort of thing I've come to expect. A rush of sympathetic fury burned in Tanjiro's stomach. That's horrible! I'm so sorry that happened to you. How could someone abandon their child? How could someone sell a child, a member of their own family? Tanjiro blinked as Yoriichi took his hands. Unknowingly, he had started digging his nails into the flesh of his palms. The doctor gently coaxed him to relax his fingers. Thank you, he whispered, for caring. It means more than you could know. Having overcome shyness from Tanjiro's earlier praise, he made eye contact once more. It had not been all that bad. My teacher gave me all the knowledge he had and a purpose in life. And your family has shown me a warmth that I'd never dreamed could exist. I'm very grateful to have met you all. At last, New Year's arrived. Yoriichi was bundled in blankets alongside the other children of the family and ushered outside. Rokta had already fallen asleep, but everyone else was ready for the ceremonial dance to begin. Kia lit a circle of torches as Tanjiro changed into the traditional outfit. Tanjiro, pressed close to his side, all but vibrating in excitement. Do you know this dance as well, Tanjiro? Yoriichi's voice was quiet. The air was so still that speaking normally seemed almost taboo. Well, almost. I'm not very graceful, and I can't dance anywhere nearly as long as Father can. On Tanjiro's other side, Nezuko let out a thought-on snort. Always so humble. He's great, Yoriichi. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Tanjiro looked ready to protest, his aptitude once more. But his father raised the ceremonial wooden sword, and everyone immediately quieted. The first ray of light dipped below the horizon, and Tanjiro began to dance. Yoriichi felt the air leave his lungs. That feeling was back, the one he had when he was climbing the mountain. Only this time the force was nearly staggering. He knew these these movements. These were the same ones he used to evade the demon. This was his sun breathing. It was called sun breathing, just like his own name. He'd always known it, but now suddenly the reflexes he'd always had were given a name and a purpose. He didn't know why he'd been drawn to the mountain. He didn't know why, but he instinctively knew the traditional dance from the isolated family that lived on it. Before this very moment, he had never very much had a belief in fate, but now meeting the Kamado family felt like destiny. Someone gently touched his cheek, pulling away from his daze. Nezuko was covertly dabbing his face with her sleeve. He had been crying. He hadn't realized. Are you okay? Yeah, she asked in an undertone. Tanjiro was also peering at him anxiously. She gave him a soft look and nodded before turning back to watch the dance with rapt attention. Dawn broke and Tanjiro looked exhausted but deeply satisfied as his wife led him to sit. I hope it met your expectations, Yoriichi. It surpassed them. Yoriichi handed the man some water. Please drink. I'm sure you're dehydrated. Kie patted his head fondly. Thank you, Yoriichi. Nezuko, are you ready? From the back of the home, he could hear the Kamado children speaking in excited whispers, though that what they were saying was too muffled to hear. "Yes!" Nezuko called back, before they all but bounced into the room. Nezuko was holding her hands behind her back. "So, don't be mad, but I actually finished your earrings a while ago. I just really wanted to give them to you on New Year's. Close your eyes for a moment, okay?" Yoriichi followed her instructions, and felt her take his hand and press the jewelry into it. "You can open them now." He did, and nearly started crying. Sitting in his palm were the exact replicas of Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings. "But," his voice was a little hoarse, "you said these were important to your family. I have no right." "You do," Tanjiro caught them up. "You are a member of our family now." Yoriichi's mouth fell open in shock. "I hope this wasn't presumptuous of me, but I told my parents how you didn't have a family," Tanjiro admitted. "And I thought, well, you don't have a surname, do you?" Kia spoke up, seeing her son fumble with his words. "We would be very happy if you would take ours." The tears he had been holding at bay escaped at that, voice failing him utterly. All he could do was clutch the earrings to his chest and nod. "You don't have to come back a lot, okay?" Hanako pleaded. "I want to hear a lot of stories about the places you see." Yoriichi patted her on the head. It was a popular method of showing affection in this household, and one that Yoriichi had picked up as a habit of his own. "Of course," he reassured her, "as often as I can." He gave Shigeru and Takeo hugs, and ruffled Rokuda's hair. "Be good to your parents, all right?" Nezuko ran forward to embrace him. "There's supposed to be a new doctor moving into the village next week. I'm going to beg him to let me be his assistant, so next time we meet I can blow you away with how much I've learned. Count on it!" "I'm looking forward to it." As soon as Nezuko stepped back, Tanjiro hugged him hard, burying his face in the crook of Yoriichi's neck. "Take care of yourselves. Watch out for demons and make sure you eat properly." "Are you my brother or my mother?" Yoriichi teased. Tanjiro poked at his cheek. "And wear shoes, you'll catch a cold." "That was one time." He and Tanjiro were last to pull him into embrace. Despite Tanjiro's exhaustion from the previous night, he insisted on getting up for Yoriichi's send-off. "Farewell, son. Stay safe." Tanjiro smiled at the expression on Yoriichi's face. "That will take some getting used to," he mumbled, prompting a laughter from the pair. "Well, there'll be plenty of time for you to acclimate to it." He had kissed him on the forehead. "When we next see you, take care. When we see you next, take care, dear." There was a small moment when he was departing. Yoriichi turned back and waved, a beautiful smile raising his features. Tanjiro, alongside his family, waved back, but even as he did, he wondered why the scene looked so familiar. Time passed, seasons changed. And to his chagrin, Yoriichi found himself also swamped with his work, but he didn't even have time to consider visiting his family. Demon's attack were on the rise. Long gone were the days where he expected to have maybe one encounter per year, if unlucky. Now it seemed like rescuing people and patching up the injuries from the creatures on a weekly basis. He had enough money to pay a courier to bring a letter back to the Commodores. In it, he explained the situation and apologized profusely, promising to at least do his best to return by New Year's. He also told them to bar the doors at night just in case. Demons don't usually work together," Dr. Yukimura had once told him. "They're selfish, hungry creatures, and since sharing isn't their strength, neither is teamwork. However, there are always exceptions in this world. If you ever encounter demons working together, be very careful. You never know what tricks they have up their sleeves." So, on the night his extrasensory perception picked up not one demon, but two, Yoriichi went on high alert. They were both ahead of him, one in the center of the path and one to the other right. Neither of them were moving towards him, so it was possible he hadn't been detected yet. Slinking low, he moved off to the path into the bush to the left, hopping to loop around the creatures. It wasn't long until he could see what was holding the attention of the demons. A large group of young demon slayers huddled together in a clearing, bleeding and looking petrified. Before them stood a gargantuan demon with muscled arms and a protruding lower jaw. It gurgled out a roar that even had some of the Slayer shrieking and attempting to flee, even as his companions stood their ground. Yoriichi felt something in the air twist, and then suddenly the fleeing boy was no longer nearly on the edge of the clearing. He was right back where it started, and he let out a wail of despair. This wasn't a large demon, Yoriichi had realized, eyes narrowing. The one that was hiding had been responsible. A spatial warping demon art. This could get messy. The big demon was clearly a threat, but the Slayers outnumbered, to such a large degree that they should be able to handle it. Yoriichi watched as 3 of them attempted a coordinated attack, but they were warped once more, and they all collided with each other instead. Yes, it was the other demon that was the issue here. Retracting his footsteps, Yoriichi circled back ground, extending his consciousness in an attempt to locate the demon. There, up in a tree, a small demon boy had his eyes fixed up on the scene below him. He used his art again, eyes unblinking. So he needed to look at his victims to use his power. Spurred on by an idea, Yoriichi scooped a small handful of pebbles from the ground before flicking one at the demon. As he hoped, the building energy dissipated, and the small demon let out a screech. "What was that?" he hissed, eyes darting around as it tried to find the source of the hidden stinging sensation. For a moment, Yoriichi thought he could see something strange in the pupil of its eyes. Was that writing? But it was too far to be certain. Silently, Yoriichi ducked behind a tree and flung another pebble. "What the hell? Who's there? Are you seriously throwing rocks at me? What are you, a child?" From the clearing, the large demon let out a frustrated roar, whereas the Slayers managed to get some blows in. "Master, you said you'd keep me safe," he groaned. "Keep fighting!" Yoriichi heard one of the Slayers rally her companions. "Help has arrived! We can do this!" At that, the smaller demon whipped his back towards the fray, teeth barged in rage. Yoriichi drove a fist-sized stone and hurled it hard. It cracked into the sides of the demon's jaw. "Ah! You rat!" It heaved, attention now completely torn from the fight. "Show yourself, I'll tear your innards out from your neck, you rotten rodent!" This time, Yoriichi fainted, tossing a stone into the brush across from him so that it rustled. "Ah! Found you, you little... Ow! God damn it!" His attention diverted towards the noise. Yoriichi hit him again from the opposite direction. "How dare you! Do you even know who I am? I am one of the 12 demon moons, you lowlife! You are nothing to me! You're an ant! Dirt! Palm scum! Do you hear?" Whoops! And cheers broke out from the direction. Cheering as the large demon let out a pained cry. It seemed he'd been successful in distracting the small one so long enough that the Slayers could go in for the kill. Said demon now looked positively consumed with fury, gritting his teeth so hard that they almost cracked. Now that the other demon was dead, Yoriichi straightened up and simply walked from his hiding place. At the sight of him, the other demon gasped. "What is this? You aren't even a Slayer, just some human?" He choked, limbs trembling with rage. Yoriichi nodded. "This must be embarrassing for you," he intoned gravely. There were running footsteps as the Slayers began to head towards the voices. The demon cast a long, bloodthirsty look in their direction, but it seemed that the creature had delayed for too long. The sun was rising. Sending one more hateful look towards Yoriichi, the demon fled just as the Slayers arrived. "Shoot!" The girl leading the pack panted, wiping her sweat, and blood splattered from her forehead with her sleeve. "It's too quick. We'll never catch up. Thanks for the hand. Hold up. You're a civilian. Oh my gosh, are you all right?" "Man, you got lucky." A boy with what looked to be a broken arm ran to Yoriichi's side. "That could have ended badly for you. I'm glad you were here, but what were you thinking going up against a demon unarmed?" Yoriichi, instead of answering, dropped his pack to the ground. "You're hurt. Please allow me to heal you." Muzan was furious. "This mission he said as he slowly ground his heel into the back of the lower six's neck. Was simple, child's play. Had you been able to kill those low-ranked slayers, we may have been able to learn a Hashira, yet you weren't even capable of that. The pressure tightened. Why? Forgive me! The small demon gasped desperately. Forgive me, Master! There was another! I didn't expect. He distracted me! It's not my fault! Please! Muzan stared down, unmoved, and probed the lower moon's mind. After he was finished disposing of this waste of a space, the human that had foiled his plan would also need to be punished. He just needed a face. No. No! Muzan lifted the demon from the ground by his throat, bringing him within an inch of his own face. The wretch trembled, his face blanched. His expression must have been something terrible to behold. Think of every second you spent in the presence of that human. Do not gloss over a single detail. I want to see everything. The demon scrambled to obey. A stranger in the dark with no detectable presence whatsoever. The continuous foiling of the lower moon's blood art until the slayers took down his pet. And then yes, there was no doubt about that. Yoriichi Sugikuni. It was him. Muzan had never forgotten a single detail of that filthy man's face. The dark red hair, the earrings he wore, his expressionless eyes, all the same. This Yoriichi seemed younger and softer, with a face more youthful than it had been before. He lacked a slayer mark that had once curled across his forehead, but without a doubt, somehow, Yoriichi had cheated death. He shouldn't be surprised. That creature was worse than a demon. If anyone, if anything, could crawl its way from the afterlife, it would be Yoriichi Sugikuni. But why was he unarmed? Why had he let one of Muzan's moons escape, unless he was taunting him? Muzan slammed the demon down into the ground with enough force that his body shattered into a pulp. Muzan had heard whispers of someone wearing Hanafuda earrings near a remote mountain village, so privately that he'd been scouring the area to see if there was any truth to rumors. At the time, he thought that maybe Yoriichi had descendants living in the area. Appearing now of all time, surely he must be mocking Muzan for looking in the wrong place. But Muzan was no fool. If Yoriichi had shown himself up at his full strength, he'd naturally go into hiding. But that weak, small body was not the muscular warrior that had once made Muzan tremble. If he was going to act, it had to be now, before he reached his potential once more. Yoriichi, his stomach roiled with hate. If Yoriichi had learned to defeat death, then Muzan would ensure that he'd suffer a fate far worse than that. Notes. Letters are sent, decisions are made, and a certain crybaby makes his entrance. So that was chapter 2 of the Doctor Who Dances with the Dawn. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I'm sorry if there was any audio interruptions in the background. Again, I have my laptop set up in a precarious position so that my fans are towards the window, so that the fans aren't too loud from overheating. But that means that night traffic. I'll see if this method will work for me to record a few more stuff, so that way I can have some stuff ready for the summer, so that way my laptop doesn't overheat as much. But that's all for now, and bye my frogs, see you next time!